was thinking there were some times in my previous relationship where I felt like I should have known better. Certain moments where I look back and I'm like, I should have known this. This was a pattern. Why didn't I read this? Why didn't I see this? And as I'm growing older and experiencing more things in my life and more experiences, I'm starting to see something about myself. The evolved version of manifesting, the evolved version of creating the life that I want to live and living through my intuition more, that evolved version allows myself to see all of it, the things that I do want, the things that I don't want. But in the past, that wasn't the case. So, if, for example, my partner at the time, it was starting to feel like that person didn't want me, it would amplify my desire, which was I want to be loved. I want to be in this relationship. I don't want to let this go because I want safety. So I'm desiring safety. I'm desiring familiarity. I'm desiring the vision that I've created for myself. Um, I'm wanting all of those things. However, I'm afraid to see the other side of that. I'm afraid to see the side of me that doesn't get it, the part of me that's rejected, the part of me that feels unsafe. Because if I feel those things, my belief at the time, uh, put, how I perceived my reality was, if I look at that, I'll lose what I'm wanting. Not realizing that I was losing what I was wanting because I was coming from a space of desperation. I was coming from a space of lack. Let me try to give you an example that I think would make sense. Think of a kid who is in their bed and they have this feeling or this fear that there's something in their closet or something underneath their bed. What they are really desiring is, I desire to be safe. I want to be safe. I want to feel safe in my room. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. But they don't know that for sure. So there's this desperation for safety because their fear of it not being safe is much greater, much louder, much scarier at this moment. And what I've had to think of with this example is, when you are grounded in your desire, when you're more attuned and aligned with what it is that you're wanting, in this example, it's wanting to be safe, you shift your perspective. You may feel the fear, you may feel the anxiety and the nervousness of not knowing what's in the unknown, but you'll turn on the light. Turning on the light in this example is checking to see what that shadow is. In a metaphorical space, thinking about it in another way, it would be turning on the light of consciousness, right? So what I have right here is I turn on the light, meaning I own my decision. If that decision is that I'm safe, this is where I would have to declare and proclaim it. I am safe. No matter what, I'm safe. Acknowledging what could be, no matter if it's a big scary monster in my closet or underneath my bed, I am safe. Declaring that I am safe, right? So yes, that fear is louder, but that declaration starts to get louder. Who's gonna win? Turning on my light is me owning my decision by saying, that decision that aligns with my desire is the truth. That truth is my light, okay? So by turning on the light, like I'm saying metaphorically, by turning on the light, I am moving towards truth. I'm turning on the truth. And the truth is going to be whatever aligns, whatever decision aligns with my desire. Otherwise, I'm just going to be circling around what it is that I want, circling around my desire by focusing on it, but focusing on it from a space of separation, a space of not having it. We don't want that, right? So if I'm thinking about it from a space of relationships, turning on the light will start off with owning what the desire is. If I'm in a relationship that's starting to feel rocky, the feeling of anxiety, the feeling of not feeling safe anymore, the feeling of what if this ends can be very real things. We don't want to take away from that. My job is to turn on the light, right? By owning and clarifying what the desire is, not exactly what I'm trying to control, not exactly what experience exactly I want, what experience I want exactly. Um, I'm not looking for that. What I'm looking for instead is, how can I own the desire, clarify the desire, and stay there? In the manifestation world, it would look something like your your circumstances don't matter, right? It would look something like that. Your circumstances don't matter. Your 3D reality doesn't matter. Just continue to show up in the frequency of what you're asking. I could even look at it for myself as that's a God-like consciousness, a Christ consciousness of aligning to what is true. So if it's in relation to relationships, then even though it may look rocky and things are changing, I would simply say to myself, simple, not always easy, but simple, is I'm loved, I'm cared for, I'm deserving of a wholehearted, joyful relationship. And my job at that point is to continue to turn on that light, to continue to keep on that light, continue to redirect my focus towards what it is that I'm desiring. And then anything that aligns with that, any direction or decision that I can make that aligns with that desire is my truth. It's my truth. So, like we said, in the example of the kid being afraid of what's underneath their bed or behind their closet doors, turning on the light is going to be the consciousness, the clarity that they need in order to see. But that requires them to sit beside their fear and own their fear and still do it anyway. We know how scary that could be in a relationship, because so much of ourselves, so much of our self-concept, so much of our visions and how we see life and what feels safe and controllable are part of this dynamic in our relationship. Sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's not conscious. I've noticed for me in my experience that when those things were so tightly connected to my relationship, tightly connected to a person I do not have control over, situations I don't have control over, the universe did this amazing thing. God always protects me and God always takes care of me by showing me what I need to see, even if I don't want to see it. And because I was unable to understand, I was not aware of how much I put my safety, my self-worth, and my self-value, and my self-image in that relationship outside and separate from God, the more it had to happen in a catastrophic way for me to be like, oh, sometimes we'll look at that and people know of it as a rock bottom, where surrendering is now the only option. My challenge to you is, how can we surrender sooner? How can we be in a state of non-resistance sooner? And I know for me, a lot of the surrendering involves me making my decisions quickly and with full trust that it's in alignment to what God has in store for me. And by trusting what God has in store for me is also trusting that the things that are in my heart, the desires that make me feel good, whether it's agreed upon by other people or not, are contracted between God and I. So whether it's going to get me to the next level of joy and abundance, or it's going to get me to the next level of growth, ultimately it's always growth, then that's for me to experience, and it's not for me to ridicule myself, judge myself, or even stop myself from moving. That's what I've been realizing about turning on that light. Because the thing about it is, and I think it's Bashar that I heard him say, if you don't face your fears, if you don't become aware of your fears, and I'm saying this loosely, so I don't know if it's an exact quote from him, but if you don't become aware of your fears, if you don't face those fears, then life will have to show it to you in a way that you can receive it, right? Sometimes it is that rock bottom. Sometimes it is that very obvious, like my mom would often say things like, sometimes people can do you wrong, but it's the smallest thing that they'll do that can really hurt a person. And how I perceive that and how I understand that is, no matter how God has to get you, sometimes it's in big catastrophic ways. Sometimes it's in ways that just shift your pattern, shift your awareness, even if it's something small. It will come to you for the sake of growth, for the sake of learning and developing into someone else, or into a higher version of you, a more connected version of you to God. But if you don't sit down to try and be aware and open, it's just, it's going to show up in reality. It's going to show up fully manifested. Yeah, that was my situation in my previous relationships. I was so afraid of what was on the other side. Like, I had been in a relationship for over 10 years. This was my person. So all of the parts of me that were starting to grow into new desires of wanting a deeper relationship, wanting a shift but not knowing what that would look like, wanting growth but not at the expense of losing my partner, I I had to own and really learn how to stretch myself and open myself to the reality of, you're going to need to grow with or without this person. You're going to have to keep moving down your timeline, and you can't keep slowing down or stopping at the expense of this person. And same for that person. This person is also needing to move down their timeline. And if there's this continuous level of codependence, this familiarity, this I won't move because this feels more comfortable, then you end up tarnishing the good times. You end up tarnishing what was had. And my relationship was really good, I'd say, but it was those moments where I had outgrown the space and wasn't aware of that. And because I had outgrown the space, I was, even when I was becoming aware of that, I was afraid of looking underneath my bed. I was afraid of what that would look like. I was afraid that I would have to give up one over the other. And so that's what I manifested. Uh, the wonderful thing about life is you can never get it wrong. You're always growing, and things are always going to come together in the way that they need to and for your highest good. And you get to experience the highest good now. So as I fast forwarded, going through this what I would say downfall, or this rock bottom, ultimately it's brought me into this space where no matter who I'm dating, I am being forced to see it so much quicker. Where am I sacrificing or abandoning myself to maintain connection? Right? And the deeper I go, the more evolved I get, the more I understand this, the less I do it in certain ways, but the more the stakes get a little higher. So, for example, right now with my fiance, a big part of the previous relationship and it ending was me desiring marriage. And instead of being able to turn on that light and really hone in on that truth, I desire it, I'm deserving of it, no matter who shows up, no matter who it's with. I wasn't able to do that in the previous relationship, and I ended up not having that, and then also not having the marriage. And it took me a second to really decouple that, and understand what that meant for me. So when I started to date and get into a new relationship, I had to also find a way to still own that desire, turn on that light, but surrender to how it would unfold. And like I said, fast forwarded, I'm in a beautiful relationship. This person is now my fiance. And yeah, it unfolded in a way that I just didn't expect it to go. It didn't look anything like what I had thought. Um, it didn't look like anything that I had thought would come together. And the timing of everything was something that I had to surrender to. But when I look at it now, I'm like, the timing was absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect, right? Same thing with the desire for a child. I have my son. I've even been blessed with 2 stepchildren. How these things have just come together really resulted in me being able to turn on that light, own the desire from a space of non-resistance, from a space of surrender. Meaning that fear still showed up. The doubt of, oh my goodness, am I repeating the same cycle? Am I going to be in a relationship for too many years and um, too many years and not get married again? Oh my goodness, let me look for strategy. Like, ultimately, what God was telling me is, I need you to surrender. I need you to find the strength and the capacity to own why am I struggling to say that? Own this desire and be here, be present, and feel it. Feel the duality of this life. Feel this disharmony, so that you're experiencing a disharmony externally, so that you can find internal harmony. You're feeling out of control externally, so that you can find self-control, right? You're seeing all of this mistrusting, misleading, misaligned information everywhere, so that you can go back into yourself and trust yourself, align with yourself, align with your truth, and trust your intuition. Those were the things that I needed to learn. Those were the things that I needed to become aware of, because in doing so, in being able to accept what is, find the internal safety, find the internal harmony, and own that desire that I know is for me, regardless of what other people are saying, regardless of the timing of how things are unfolding or how things are perceived. Being able to hold all of that was me being in a space of receiving God, allowing God to channel through me, allowing God to unfold through me. And when I was able to do that, that's when the magic started to happen. That's when the moments of, oh my God, like, I didn't even expect that. I didn't even know that that was coming. I didn't even want that, and I got even better. That's when those moments started to unfold within me. So, yeah. Yeah. I've been talking for a while. I have a lot to say. And another thing that's been coming up lately, well, not even lately, just recently, is kind of like what I was sharing about how my decision, the decision that aligns with my desire, is the truth. Truth is light. I'm looking at where the desire and the decision are right here, right? And then there's this gap in between, this in between space where now I need to sit with and be very clean about what is true and what's not true. Just recently, I was in a container talking about energetics and how to have clean energy. And for me, this is how it resonates. Where my desire is and where my decision is, in between that space, what is true and what is not true. Because I really want to make sure that the decision that aligns with this desire is my truth. Another way of breaking this down is there's certain decisions that I may make that I think align with my desire, but they are actually decisions that involve a certain performance, right? For example, when it comes to creating community and being live on YouTube or creating videos, That has been the decision for me. I've decided to show up. I'm deciding to show up and present this version of me because my desire is to connect, my desire is to find community, and my desire is to share my business with you all. Where the desire is here and the decision may be to show up, the in between, discerning what's true and what's not true is, well, I have to show up in a certain way. It involves me showing up with exactly this material. I have to write this down. I have to look this way. I can't say too many times. Um, I have to post 5 times a day. This is where that strategy is coming up a lot, right? So the decision was to show up. There's nothing wrong with that decision. It absolutely aligns with my desire to be seen, to be received, to create community. Like all of that is there. But where it is not true, where it is not the fullest truth, is feeling like I need to show up in a certain way. Because ultimately that comes down to performing. And that's just getting in the way of God. God doesn't need perfect conditions to bless us. God doesn't need perfect conditions to show up, right? Yeah, that one is coming up very strong for me. I also know that that decision is not the highest truth, meaning it's not, we're almost there, we're getting there. You can actually show up and effort yourself to show up 2 times a day, 2 times a week, and have this specific strategy. Like, it's gonna help because it's more than what you are doing, it's still movement. But in addition to walking that path, let's keep going. What's the higher truth? Because when we start to see what the higher truth is, for me, I recognize that I can go a little deeper, I can go a little higher when I came up with that decision. That's what I'm going to do. And then everything kept feeling harder. So it's like, okay, I figured out what the cleanest way to do this is. I'm going to show up 2 times a day. I'm going to have a certain flow for my videos. But then it still felt hard. I felt like, well, I need to do my makeup. I'm supposed to record today, but my son is making noise in the background. I don't want to be distracting. I'm losing energy. Like, it was constantly something that would distract me from the fact that my desire is worthy enough. I'm worthy of my desire. It's true. Let's decide. Let's just move. What's the path of least resistance is another way to think about it. My in that container that I was talking about, my mentor, she said something along the lines of, when we start to look at discipline versus devotion, coming from that space of devotion, there's no question of whether or not that person is showing up, because there's a deep resonance, there's a love, that's a care, there's a nurturing to this ritual, nurturing towards this way of showing up. Whereas discipline may feel a little more like, even if I don't want to do it, I'm gonna push. They all have their time and place. When we look at it from a space of devotion, there's this energy of, I'm showing up because it's most aligned. I'm showing up because I'm clear on the intention. I'm showing up because I understand why I'm doing this. And I don't just understand it, I feel it. I'm embodied in it. I trust it. I'm pulled towards it. Devotion feels very much like I'm pulled towards it, not having to push towards it. And another thing that was mentioned was that consistency is not in time, but in your energy. If I show up 2 times a week for videos to share, but my energy is down, even if I'm performing and showing up, we're at this frequency, we're at this space and time where those who know. They can feel the energy, they can move through that. And even if they can't, even if everyone is buying it, your connection to source, your connection to your alignment, it's not going to lie. That universal law of attraction, that universal law of correspondence is still there. Whereas when I'm showing up consistently in energy, I'm pulled towards sharing. I'm receiving those downloads, and now it's go time. That consistency and energy is every time I do show up, even if it's here and now here and here and here and here and here and now here, it is so much more amplifying than if I'm down a structured path of like, show up even if you don't want to, show up even if you can't. And collectively that has been the thought process. And I'm not saying that there's no time and place for that, but I don't know if it's because also I'm moving into the space of I'm a mother now. And the things that I am devoted to, like caring for my son, it doesn't require a discipline. It's a devotion. A discipline is like, a discipline for me when I think about motherhood would be something along the lines of like, I have to do this. I really don't want to do this. I'm more focused on the fact that I don't want to do this versus the fact that it's uncomfortable. Because don't get me wrong, there's definitely moments in motherhood where I'm like, I don't want to do, leave me alone, little child. I don't want to be bothered. But I'm able to overcome that discomfort because the desire for that child's well-being, the desire for that child's safety, the clarity and accountability I have that one, that's mine. There's no question. There's no question there. So I'm pulled, I'm devoted, I'm committed. It's sacred. Yeah. Yeah. So interesting. Interesting. So being able to show up like this, showing up live, showing up unfiltered, not necessarily having a plan or a certain way of doing this, is giving myself the freedom to close the gap between who I am, where I am, and what I'm desiring. It's closing the gap between God and I. I remember just recently as well that I have been asking God to pour into me. God, show me this, reveal this to me. And that is so necessary and so helpful for me to connect spiritually, to connect with God, to receive the clarity. I also feel like while it's still a sound decision and it aligns with my desire, so therefore it's the truth, where am I seeing that there is a higher truth? And for me, that higher truth is, why am I still even asking God for permission? Why am I not trusting that God has bestowed this clarity to me the first time around? Meaning, stop looking for that reassurance. Stop looking for that. Stop doubting yourself. It may not be a message for everybody, but someone needs to hear this. It may not feel like the most amicable thing to say or the most aligned thing to say across the collective, but someone needs to hear this. So Don't even waste time asking me, God, is this what I need to hear? Because when you feel it in your body, you feel it in your soul, know that your energy is clean enough, your vessel is clear enough, and it was downloaded into you on purpose. Because what's happening is, where asking God for clarity, for reassurance, to reveal something to you, where that was super helpful and super beneficial and value added, now it's become a distraction. You've elevated, right? You've already shown to God that He can trust you with this knowledge, He can trust you with this energy. Because every time you would say, God, reveal it, God would show up and show you, and you would follow suit. You would surrender to it. You would open to it. So God's already like, yeah, you got it. But you're not seeing that you've already got it. You are the one that's doubting yourself. So when you're making decisions, and for me, that example was like, I know I need to be online. I need to be sharing these truths. I need to just be showing up, not to perform, not to have a skit. Like, I just need to show up. To be. And in seeing that, I was still doubting. I was still trying to create something in between to divide me from just that straightforward, there you go, that's it. That's it. That's literally it. Because when that's it, when that's all that it is, it feels naked. It feels vulnerable. It feels audacious in a way that's scary. What if people shun me? How dare she say something like she's godlike, or you know what I mean? Like, all of these things start to come up, and of course we want to find safety, and we're finding safety in the approval of others. We're finding safety in the validity of others. But God has already given you that safety. That is why you're receiving this information, because you're safe to receive it and safe to broadcast it. I'm looking for women who have been in a romantic relationship for 5+ years. These women have devoted a lot of time and energy in this relationship and have been broken up with, or have had to walk away from this relationship, but still have this energy that's lingering, this lack of clarity, this deeper understanding that the relationship needed to end, but still feels this hole, this void. And they're trying to understand how to move forward with this new space. What is life after this emotional collapse? What is life now that I'm integrating this emotional collapse? So I am looking for women who are in that space. I'm not looking for women who have just came out of a relationship. I'm not looking for women who have been in short-term relationships. I am looking for women who have spent years in a relationship. I'm not looking for someone who is still highly grieving, because this offer that I want to birth and I'm expressing to you is not for the woman who is still grieving, still just got out that relationship, unless she is able to ground herself in that truth, but is still looking for guidance on how to activate herself and how to deepen the truth that she's in. I'm looking for the women who have been broken up with and they're not fully clear on what it is that they've done wrong. The women who seem to forget, even though this relationship ended, even if I was broken up with, even if it was an outcome that I did not want, it was a relationship that didn't align with me. I'm looking for the women who need clarity on that, need holding in the space of, this wasn't the outcome, but this is what I needed. We're looking to further deepen and integrate that new identity while also still honoring that emotional experience, honoring that relationship, integrating the good, the bad, the perceived good or bad, the light, the dark. Because this isn't a situation where you can just simply positive your way out of. Oh, well, we were really good and the relationship was great. It just wasn't what it needed to be, because there's still a version of you that's pissed the fuck off. That's angry and raging at the fact that you've spent so many years with someone and they've abandoned you. This is where you're now needing to see, where did I abandon myself so much with such little awareness that the universe had to show it to me in this way? Not to judge ourselves, not to shame ourselves, but to integrate this experience. To be able to move forward with this energy that says, I now know where I stand, I know what I want, and I know what feels good to me. I'm not available for that. Not in a way that's jaded, not in a way that says I'm not available for that only because I'm controlling every aspect or not opening my heart again to other people. It's I'm not available for that because I'm able to make the decision that aligns with my desire and honor my truth. Because I promise you, if you are a woman who has been in a relationship for several years, especially if you're a woman who's, I'm not even going to put an age on it, but I know from my experience, this was in my 20s. So to be in a 10-year relationship, in a relationship that I felt was very mature, a relationship that I felt I was devoted to, at an earlier age, yeah. You can't tell me that you are now the woman who doesn't want love again. You can't tell me that you're not the woman who doesn't want to connect in a deep, intimate, beautiful way again with a partner. Ideally a husband or a partner, that a life partner, whatever floats your boat. So how do you do that? How do you move your energy in a way that is truly grounded and present and clear and clean? Not just by adapting more strategies on how not to get screwed over again. not by ignoring the pain and the anger and the frustration that you feel, but also not by over identifying with the anger, the frustration, the pain, the disappointment, and still being able to play, to feel that lightness, to feel the moments where the relationship was very juicy and aligned and good. So if you are that woman who has had those experiences, but there is something in you that still needs to find alignment, who's looking for an activation, who's looking to recalibrate, to dive into her trust, her truth, her knowing, to show up not only dignified, but open-hearted, sovereign, clear, and without hesitation. Return to her is what you're looking for. Return to her is what you're looking for. Return to her is my offer to you to decide in the identity that you're looking for, that you truly are. Returning to her is allowing yourself after an emotional collapse to not only redefine heartbreak, but to honor it, to own it, to break through it, to rise from the ashes as a renewed woman whose frequency is aligned to what it is that she wants at this point in her life. I'm excited, genuinely, to connect with you because I know you're looking at this video. I know you're hearing me, and I know you're thinking to yourself, holy shit. Because on the other side of just hearing this video is the decision to align, to connect, to receive those downloads in this container that has been created for you, that you have been praying for, that you have been looking for but couldn't find in videos talking about strategies, and videos talking about polarizing dynamics and having a provider and not having a provider, and all of these different conversations. And there was something in you that just kept saying something is missing. Where is the me that is deeply connected to herself, while also owning that she wants to connect, that she wants to feel alive, that she wants to live and love fully? Because she didn't go away, but there is some integration, there is some recalibration that gets to happen to not just bring her back, but to rebirth her into a version of you that is so expanded, so grounded, so aware, so blossomed, while also being a complete frequency. You're broadcasting what it is that you want, and you're no longer over functioning to get it. You're no longer fighting to get it. You're no longer trying to convince or people please or manage others to get it. You are emitting that frequency. You are radiating your truth. And when you're able to radiate your truth, this is when it starts to connect in all areas of your life. Your breakup has been here to open you up, but not just to open you up so that you can get over this person. It's to unfold and birth all of your other desires that have just been sitting there dormant because you've allowed your relationship to confine you, because it's just safer. if I really own who it is that I am, if I own what I'm desiring, if I own the things that I want and I'm craving and I'm yearning for, I may not be the person that this person wants me to be. And I'll lose love, and I'll be abandoned, and I'll be rejected. But you know what's so crazy? Is in doing all of that, in abandoning yourself and ignoring your desires and ignoring what it is that you're truly yearning for, by just not being honest with yourself, by not facing it, your person left you. And that may be triggering. That may be frustrating. There may be a part of you that wants to, but that's not the case. I've been there. If that's you, return to her as the offer. I'm going to include details on how to learn more about this offer, but I do want to start off with a gift to you. And it is this voice transmission where it says, "You're not stuck, you're loyal." And I really want you to take a moment to listen to that, to let that seep into your awareness, seep into your subconscious, and then join me. Join me on Return to Her. I'm looking to do this as a 3-day event live, where we have these transmissions and we do the work to integrate and embody these truths. I'll also add the link so that you can see that directly. Something that is been interesting to me as I've been birthing this offer is, as I mentioned, I'm not looking to create a long container. We're not unpacking this relationship. That's not what we're here to do. There are other containers for that. And I hope that you are utilizing that. If therapy is something that you need, if having a coach that has 6-month containers, 3-month containers, 6 weeks, do what you need to do. This in particular is a recalibration. This is an integration. This is a 3-day activation. We are coming into some deep awarenesses, coming into some deep understandings, and integrating it into our beings. So the people that I'm looking for, as I mentioned, are women who are ready for this level of work. Because when we get into this, you're skyrocketing. And I'm not saying this to sell you a dream. The amount of energy and time and work and understanding that I have compiled since the end of my relationship up until now, that's been 6 years now. The amount of time it's taken me to get over my partner, trust myself again, reconnect with my body, trust my new dating experiences, trust even my fiance. I'm ready to collapse that time for someone. I am deeply ready to collapse that time for someone who is circling an old identity, who is circling the old concept of the relationship, who is circling this notion that because I've been broken up with, I am no longer a good person, or I need to prove that I'm a good person, or I need to get my snap back on, I need to do better. We're getting out the rat race. Okay? We are getting out of the rat race. We are now looking to integrate this in a way that your body remembers her. Your body returns to her. Your body hears her deeper than anything that your mind can understand, anything more that can be researched, any more strategy, any more. We are returning back to her, and ultimately we are returning back to God. But for those who move in speed, those who are tired of waking up at 2 in the morning and crying about a relationship that ended months ago. For those who are yearning, how do I trust myself again? I don't even know what that means. How do I set boundaries? How do I not get fucked over again? How do I make meaning of the situation? How do I stop feeling embarrassed? How do I stop comparing my partner to this next person? How do I feel and feel the juiciness, the joy, the excitement that I once felt? How do I connect back to myself? For the women who are ready for that, yeah, let's go. I'm gonna add the links below. And like I said, join me on this other side. Join me on the other side. I think that's all for now. Bye.